Let's go for it!
Everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host here at The Dark Stuff. Thanks a lot for checking out my new video. Just a heads up right before we get started, this video is not talking about records. I'm only talking about a couple of live shows that I've seen recently. I've seen a couple of great shows, and I just wanted to give you an update before I get too many of them in and I don't have enough time to talk about them all. Just before I came on, saw a little clip from Mudhoney, who I saw a couple weeks ago, the legendary grunge rockers. They were great. We're going to talk about their show coming up in a little bit. But before I do, I want to go, because it's fresh in my mind, I saw a great show last night. It was a punk rock band from Australia called the CHATS, and there were two openers, one called Mean Jeans and another one called Thick from Brooklyn. And Thick is a group that you may have heard me mention on the channel before. In my top 20 albums of 2020, their album 5 Years Behind was number 19. So I have mentioned them before, but I'd never seen them until last night. So when I was at the Mudhoney show, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine who saw on the list of upcoming shows that this band, the CHATS, was coming to town. And I'd never heard of them. And this is rare because, you know, I've been on the radio for 17 and a half years. Like, I usually hear about stuff like before the average person, and I just didn't know who these guys were. He asked if I wanted to go. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, no, whatever. Punk rock from Australia, I'll check it out. And then I saw that the band Thick was opening. And like I said, I did know them previously, and here's a little sticker of Thick, and a little spoiler alert. I'm wearing a Thick sweatshirt, so I bought some merch in this case because they were so fucking good. To the show, and Thick was already on. They had maybe done a song or two, I think. I hope that's all I missed. And they were just great. They, you know, beaming smiles, ear to ear, grinning, just rocking out. I don't know any of their names, so sorry ahead of time, but the woman who sings and plays guitar, and the other woman who plays bass, they both do vocals at the same time a lot. They were doing a lot of joined vocals and stuff, and their stuff was like really like revved up Breeders, I guess is the way I would say it. I mean, because the Breeders are one of my favorite bands, and imagine the Breeders like almost double time, and maybe with both deal singers shouting at the same time instead of just maybe one, and maybe you get a little bit of an idea. They're on Epitaph Records and a little catchier than most Epitaph stuff, to be totally honest. Like, I usually don't like Epitaph. I'm not a fan of, like, Bad Religion and stuff. It's just not my scene. But the album was really, really great. Their show was excellent. They were super, super fun. The crowd was going crazy, and it was very, very young. I mean, my 51-year-old self was feeling like a fucking grandpa at that show. These people were very young in the crowd, no question. Next up was a group called Mean Jeans, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch them, so I have no photos or video of them. I heard them because I was in the club, but I was towards the back talking with somebody. But the one notable thing I will say about Mean Jeans, they were pretty funny, their stage banter and some of their stuff. They started doing like a Spin Doctors cover, which I guess was meant to be funny, but I mean, I remember the Spin Doctors. It wasn't funny. I was having a negative flashback. Anyways, at the merch table, one of their shirts that I took a picture of features, they put King Diamond and a gigantic pizza on it, and I almost was bought the shirt just because of that. I loathe King Diamond. I can't stand that guy's voice. I know, I mean, Merciful Fate, I'm sorry, I just don't want to hear it. But I find King Diamond to be sort of hysterical, you know? And so if that shirt would have been black instead of on white, I would have bought it for sure. The shirt was just fucking awesome. Next up was the CHATS, and the crowd was really, really raring for them. Now, I didn't know who they were, like I said, until basically a day or a couple days before the show, and I went online, I listened to their album called High Risk Behavior. They have a new album called Get Fucked that comes out pretty soon, but it wasn't out yet. There's only 2 songs available on Apple, so I listened to High Risk Behavior, which is the whole album. I was not prepared for like how much fun that record was. I mean, it is just simple 3-chord, and that's being generous. Just fast, abrasive punk rock, funny lyrics. You know, they'll just sing it to come up with a topic like, okay, dine and dash, and they're just dine and dash, no, no, no. You know, just like the songs are super fast, 1.5, 2 minutes, just rocking their fucking asses off. It was such a great set. Okay, so a couple weeks before, I did see Mudhoney, the grunge legends, which, grunge, I don't know, that was a marketing term, and I know that some people are just like automatically tune out when they hear that. So I've always seen the Mudhoney as being very similar sonically to the Stooges. They're just kind of fuzzed out, garagey punk rock. I love Mudhoney. I've seen them 2 other times. Once in the early 90s, kind of in their heyday, probably 93 or 94 or so. And then I saw them again towards the end of the 90s when a band that was on my label opened for them. And then this time again in 2022. So the first time in a couple of decades. I didn't know what to expect. They're older, they're wiser. I follow Mudhoney. I still have all of their new records. I mean, up until the one from, I think, 2019, they put out 2019 or 2020, they have a new record. And I have all of them, and I really do enjoy the music. Now, the best stuff that they did was sort of probably in this era. They're celebrating the 30th anniversary of this album, Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. There they were back in the day. Okay, this is the new expanded edition that just came out to celebrate the 30th anniversary. It's on vinyl, too. I got the CD as a promo, so of course I'm going to keep that one. Great stuff on that one. I love the first album, Super Fuzz Big Muff, and their Warner Brothers stuff throughout the 90s. Great, great band. The show's not quite as nowhere near as insane as it was in the early 90s. When I saw them before, there was the stage diving and people being passed all over the place and everyone was drunk, and it was just a wild time. And now we're all a bunch older because the crowd was mostly like my age. Older folks who remember Mudhoney from back in the day. We're all a little older, we're all a little wiser, maybe we don't party quite as hard as we used to. Maybe we want to get home because there's a babysitter situation involved and gotta watch the kids, or I don't know what your situation is, but we've all kind of aged, and I think aged pretty well in this case, especially for the case of Mudhoney. They were excellent. They sounded great. Any song you'd want to hear from Mudhoney, they played. Last show I want to talk about in this particular run is Sasami, who also played with a group called Jigsaw Youth. Now, I don't have any clips of Jigsaw Youth. They were great. They're a female trio from New York City, and they play in like an early 90s style. I chatted with one of the members after the show, and I threw out references like Babes in Toyland, Calamity Jane, and stuff like that. And they hadn't heard of Calamity Jane, but we agreed on Babes in Toyland. And so we talked about stuff like that. They were great. I wanted to buy one of their records, but they didn't have any physical product. Their stuff was all just digital only. So I couldn't buy anything from them, and all they had was a poster. And I like to support the bands and stuff, but I'm not going to buy a poster. I didn't want it, so I wasn't interested. But they were good. Moving on to Sasami.
Do you want to punish me? Want to punish me? Need it to work, 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 need it to work.
I don't know how familiar you are with her. Her name is Sasami Ashworth. This is her debut album. And then there's this album. This is the new one. And this one's called Squeeze. Now, I must be guilty of not listening all the way through because I've played Sasami on my show. I played this first album back in 2019 when it came out, and I played the new one. And I must have only played just a song or two because I thought I had a vibe on Sasami, and I thought that she was sort of more indie rock. And even it says here on the sticker on the first one, RIYL, which is Review If You Like, Broadcast, Mitski, Snail Mail, and La 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 La, which is a group nobody's ever heard of. I don't know why that's a reference point. But anyways, So you're thinking, okay, now I know kind of what neighborhood this band is in. I was so unprepared for how different Sasami was live, and different in a good way, okay? She was just fucking epic in concert. Starting off, look at the band that she plays with, okay? Those don't look like indie rock dudes. They look like guys on loan from a death metal band, okay? With just so much hair and just constantly just, doing that. I mean, I've seen death metal shows, and that's what the guys were like. I mean, I swear to God, those dudes must be in some other type of band besides that, because they were so rocking out, and the show was pretty freaking heavy. I mean, it wasn't like Mitski and Snail Mail. It was definitely, I mean, it wasn't heavy metal, but there were times where it was definitely like there was a lot of headbanging going on from the band and from Sasami herself, and it was a very, very different show than I was expecting. It was really good, but like really, really different. Back and I listened a little closer to the new album Squeeze, I heard a lot of those elements. So she definitely was changing her sound, and I was just unprepared for it, but it was really, really good. I loved it. I think the tour's already over, but if you get a chance to catch her, maybe she's doing the summertime festival circuit, I don't know, but definitely worth catching. Now, I pointed out, I think in my last video, that, COVID is still canceling shows, and I've had to miss a couple of shows. I mean, just three within the last couple of weeks. So Gary Newman, alternative legend, synth pop legend, Gary Newman was coming to town, and someone in his crew got COVID the night before, so they had to cancel the show. They're rescheduling it for like September or something. John Spencer, formerly of John Spencer Blues Explosion, Pussy Galore, has a new band called the Hitmakers. One of the members of the band is Janet Weiss, formerly the drummer of Sleater Kinney. She's in the band Quasi. Quasi was opening. Spencer, from what I heard, Spencer himself was the one who got COVID, and they canceled the night before in Minneapolis. They canceled the Omaha show, so that didn't happen. The other night, Wednesday, I believe it. No, Tuesday it was. Southern Culture on the Skids were coming to town, and I kind of wanted to see them, but the opening band was a group called Dressy Bessie, who I like and I've never seen. I wanted to go for that. Someone in Southern Culture's orbit got COVID, and that show was canceled, unfortunately. So it is still happening. Things are not 100% back to normal, but they're better. So I'm just gonna this comment. If you are at a show and they're requiring you to show proof of vaccination or wear a mask or something, just shut the fuck up and do it, okay? Because this is so much better than nothing. And for you to these anti-mask people, you're just prolonging this crap. It's almost over. Just keep together for just a few more months. Maybe after the summer, we're done with it. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, everybody. I'll be back soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.